Okay, so hello and thank you for everybody who's joining this session, including my fellow guests who I will get to introduce themselves in a minute. Also, thank you to the WGES for having us and for hosting this event. I've been to a number of WGESs over the years. It's a shame, obviously, that we're not on a beach in Barcelona in the middle of the summer, as is traditional with WGESs, but there's obvious reasons why we're not. So today we're going to be talking about what is the future of crypto payments. I'm super excited about this topic. It's a topic that is close to my heart, as well as the guests on this session as well. And I just wanted to have a very quick reflection back 3 years to actually the WGES 3 years ago, when Bitcoin was at a price of about 20,000 US, or it had just been at that price. And there was an enormous amount of hype around blockchain and around cryptocurrencies. And actually at that WGES, I remember a lot of the agenda for those few days was blockchain, it was crypto, there was a whole afternoon set aside to it. There were some crazy blockchain entrepreneurs, including myself, running around, proclaiming to disrupt the industry and turn everything on its head. Since then, things have gone a bit quiet, and you can look at most events these days as kind of a barometer. You know, the number of sessions on blockchain and crypto has fallen off a bit of a cliff. And what I want to do is just use this session to understand whether that's fair. Is that a fair reflection actually of where the industry is? What's actually happened over the last 3 years? Not just looking at prices, albeit crypto and Bitcoin is now back up to that 20,000 mark. And where next? What's going to happen next in this sector? Where do we predict the future? So anyway, let me hand over to my guests to give themselves a quick introduction. Boris, would you like to go first?
Sure. Hello, guys. Hello, Stefan, Max. It's a pleasure to be here today on the panel. Like you said, Steph, it will be better to have a talk on live, but still, hopefully next time we'll be on live and chatting with each other. So my name is Boris Kiknadze, and I'm currently the CEO of the Fortune Jack and Orbital Gaming. So the Fortune Jack, as probably most of you know, is a crypto casino focusing on gambling with the cryptocurrencies. And so the Fortune Jack was one of the leading and the first pioneer on the market. We're already on the market 8 years. So, and since then, many things changed. Like you said, it's that niche, and now it's growing bigger and bigger. So, and hopefully in upcoming years, it will be more bigger, and I'll be more willing to share some ideas and thoughts on next. So thanks for having me once again.
No problems. And Boris has quite an impressive background as a serial entrepreneur in the space, and seems to have crammed in his career what most of us cram in our lifetime. So kudos to that. Max, can you please give us a quick intro to yourself and your company?
Yes. So guys, thank you very much for having me here, Stefan and Boris. Pleasure meeting you in almost person. Yeah. So my name is Max Krupyshev. I am the CEO of crypto processing by Coinspaid. So we work with cryptocurrencies. We are an exchange, a payment provider, and a hot wallet provider. So we basically enable usual casinos to become crypto casinos, and enabling usual casinos to accept crypto without even becoming crypto casinos. Yeah, I've been in cryptocurrency market industry for 7 years full time. Been working with wallets, with miners, with exchanges, with brokers, OTC desks, and payments.
Perfect. Yeah, and I was going to say Max is the real deal when it comes to the space, having been around since the early days and having kind of traversed many different areas of it. So we're very lucky to have both Boris and Max with us today. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Stefan Kovach. I am long-term veteran within the gaming industry, having been working within the industry for probably over 15 years now. And the last 3 years, my last role was actually the CEO for a blockchain-based business called Funfair Technologies, which built a decentralized casino platform on the Ethereum blockchain. So, without further ado, I suggest we start deep diving into this question. And actually, what I want to do first, which is maybe slightly ironic given the title is about the future, is just to look back at the last 3 years to set the scene as to where we are today before we look further forward. And just, I guess, initially from your individual business perspectives, what have you seen in terms of trends? What have you seen in terms of adoption since the original Bitcoin and crypto boom? Boris, do you want to kick off?
Sure. So, like you said, the time when the Bitcoin started the booming, and now we are, it's been uptrending. So we see on the market that more and more users are joining, and especially using the crypto, right? And we see that more and more geographical markets now are on a target, especially if we take African markets or Asian markets. So if previously the Bitcoin and all the crypto was related to the assets which the people invested, and especially middle class and the well-developed countries, now we see that it's booming in the countries where there is financial crisis, where there is economical crisis, because the people are looking more into it as an investment asset. And when we compare to the economical and the political issues, right? Why I'm mentioning it, because once you take a look to the country's political development and economical development, if there is a downtrend and their financial currencies are not stable, so the people are looking for the more options where to invest and how to use this money, right? And here where I think the crypto is coming. And in the beginning, there was a really big issue about the trust. Like, it's new currency, it's crypto, no one knows it, it's digital, why should I invest there, or how it will future look like? But it already like 10, 12 years, and we see that more and more people are using it. And now this sort of issue of the trust is on a decline, right? Because we see that international companies are accessing the market, like PayPal is now using it. The Facebook was interested in crypto sphere and so on. And on our side, we see the increase and on different markets. And I think it's pretty remarkable because if, like I said, previously it was well-developed countries like a US market, European market. Now we see that Asia is popping out, and Max will probably add on to African market is pretty interesting. And we also see that the prices going on, right? So like I said, it was a hit at $20,000, which was a big, and now we are already over there. It's 90,000, one more thousand and we'll break the record. So I think the crypto has a future, and the trend is really, really increasing, because if we take a look to the statistics 3 years ago, so 3 years ago, there was only 30 million users, according to the EY stats. And nowadays, it's 50 million users. So it's increased with 40 million users within 3 years. And this trend is going up, and more companies will using it, I think. And the trend will continue for adoption in many countries.
And have you seen those numbers reflected, or have you beaten those numbers in terms of increases at Fortune Jack itself?
Yeah, definitely. Because at the beginning, like I said, when you are starting the company, and especially niche market, right, in cryptocurrencies, you are trying to acquire those users, and the number is really small. So you need more and more efforts to bring them on your platform. But once your market is increasing, it's much more easier to gain more users, because now you have more users, you can plan their strategy. And interesting fact is that now we have more diversity in terms of how we can access different markets, because none of geographical markets react the same. For example, you need totally different strategy in terms of Africa, and totally different strategy in terms of Europe to acquire more users. But once you go to the market, you see, and in our case, we see the increase of the numbers. So one of the main points that we started in the beginning was building the trust. And once the people see that you are well-developed and trustworthy company, then they follow. And one of the main things that differentiates from the traditional casinos and crypto casinos is in fiat casinos and traditional casinos, there is a huge rollover. So the user can change one casino to another and so on. In our case, when there is a crypto casinos, of course, the competitors is increasing and we have more and more competitors, but we see that those people are still focusing on the most trustworthy companies in the casinos. And I think this trend is now also going up because it's much more easier for us currently to acquire more users. And we also see an interesting numbers of average bets increase. It meaning that people are playing more and more. So the average bet amount increased about 55% compared to the last year, meaning that they are trusting now more the cryptocurrencies and they're spending more money, which is of course better, and it's much more easier to let them spend more and acquire more users too.
Interesting. Okay, so interesting. So I mean, over the last 3 years, then you've seen significant growth, by the sounds of it, in line, if not maybe ahead of crypto penetration. Trust, definitely. You're saying is a key thing, and that's an interesting thing, and maybe something we can come back to, because I think there's definitely mixed perceptions about cryptocurrency, and I think trust is a key area of that. And maybe we'll come back to as well just some of these different strategies in terms of targeting different markets.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Brilliant. Max, why don't you give us a similar view?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with Boris on everything. This is kind of like exactly how it works these days. So I would say 3 years ago, I was estimating gaming crypto market for like $500 million a month in deposits. Right. Right now, I think it's already close to $1 billion. I mean, we just know the players who just make a fair percentage of it. I mean, we right now already like process over hundreds of millions, right? And I understand that we don't really have all the big fish on the market, as Boris, for example. Yeah, so I think that we don't own like the majority of the market yet. So it must be deeper than 250,000. And of course, the number of users increased, right? So of course, this means that then if 3 years ago, only like real believers in crypto were spinning the casinos, accepting Bitcoin or running on Bitcoin, right? As we call them, crypto casinos, right? Where you can gamble in crypto. So it was more like only believers in crypto were spinning these casinos. Right now, we see businesses already doing this. So a classical casino just accepting cryptocurrency, see that they want to give their players more, and they spin their separate websites, right? So we see this happening, and it means that it's already not only belief-driven, but already business-driven. So, I mean, right now, and of course, this year, I mean, honestly, guys, this year was been amazing for all of us, except of the sports betting in the beginning of the year, and for everyone who is in crypto, right? Honestly, the volumes are growing. And because of the cryptocurrency is kind of on boom since the crash of the financial markets in March, right? Everybody were like, okay, probably we move to crypto. It's kind of like not dependent on the governments and so on. So of course, more users are there. And if you think about more philosophically on who is this cryptocurrency user, you will see a lot of similarities about gambler. This is what we spoke about you, Stefan, yesterday. So gambler itself and the trader on the exchange, they are relatively similar, right? Because they gamble with the price of cryptocurrencies and they gamble in the casinos. So the synergies are huge. So nowadays, and it's also a message to all of the listeners, I mean, if you don't accept cryptocurrency in your iGaming platforms, I mean, you're just missing out the opportunity. I don't say that you will have 50% of the players paying you with cryptocurrency. You will have 10, right? But it's still 10% of the players with whom you will pay lower fees on the payment providers, right? With whom you will not have fraud and chargebacks, right? It's still kind of like you will appear somewhere in the crypto website. Somebody would say, I use this casino. Your affiliate manager would be happy because now he can promote you not only on the gaming affiliation websites, but also on the crypto websites, right? When the crypto community, they are reading news in their own sources. They are speaking on the forums where you can place banners. I mean, it just all start to make sense more and more.
Interesting. So similar views in terms of the growth. There has been growth, even though it's not been in the headlines over the last 3 years. And
no, it's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing.
Significant growth. And I mean, it's an interesting point around the user and this idea, you know, maybe both from a demographic point of view and a behavioral point of view, that if you hold crypto or you're a crypto trader, which is probably the single biggest use case in crypto, probably by the very nature of that, given the volatility of the asset, you've got a degree of a gambler in you. I mean, do you find that with your users? Maybe Boris, have you done any kind of research into that? Do you have any insights?
Sure. So at the same time, I will agree with Max. So I think one of the main issues what happened previously and the difference right now is, so when a Bitcoin and any crypto started, it was we were looking at it as just an asset, and you will buy it and hold it in a bank account. So there was no many options for using this, right? The crypto. So then they pop up the casinos, then they pop up some e-stores, online shops. So now people are seeing it as a monetary value, because previously it was limited. Like I had only 3 options where to use my crypto. Where should I use? Just deposit and withdraw it when the money goes up. Now I can just have the crypto and use it in various things. I can even buy a car or any furniture for my house. And other people will look at it with more interest, right? And I also agree with Max that this year really showed up how valuable is a crypto asset, because starting from the March, we saw the decline, and the coronavirus has hit it pretty badly on every aspect, especially of course on the sports betting and so on. And the people, we saw that there was a decline in terms of the many currencies, standard currencies, especially in European markets or Asian markets. And the people at the same time, we saw the increase of the prices because people started buying the crypto assets and to focus on where they can use it and how to use it. I think also the 2020 was really remarkable year for the crypto in many views, especially if we're focusing on most developed countries. Like if we take into consideration only US. So this year, US started the drafting the law, and they will present it in upcoming next year. So US Attorney General William Barr now said that there will be law focusing on the cryptocurrency, and especially giving the framework for one of the biggest companies in the US. And this law will apply to 78 biggest US companies, which now generate more than $1 trillion. And that's why the PayPal entered the market. That's why the MasterCard is showing the interest in the crypto sphere, right? And those companies now are looking to acquire those assets because the US is trying to adapt to this. But there is a few things going on because on the one hand, US Justice Ministry is really advocating the blockchain technology and the cryptocurrency. And now, on the other hand, we have the political statements that it's too early and so on. But we see the trend that even some ministries of these big governments are already looking into this as a next option and the next a growth market, right? And also taking into this consideration, the political essence, because the previous administration was focusing on to block the Chinese, to block all the investments and bring the money US, right? Now they have the same situation. They don't want to lose this money because everyone knows that more and more people will be holding this money. And if you losing this money and don't tracking it within your citizens, of course your citizens will use in other countries, right? So that's why I think more and more governments will be pushing strict regulations. And once the US will start, then the rest of the world will follow with this regulation. I think it will be once beneficial and also maybe destructive for many companies, because then will be more need to adjust with requirements, with GDPR and so on. So I think it will be really interesting next year once this law will be enforced.
I mean, the regulation piece is a fascinating piece, which is evolving, as you say. I mean, I would challenge you a little bit there, because I think the US is quite schizophrenic in its approach. You've seen the SEC take out a number of lawsuits and cases against mainly kind of DApp-based businesses who raise money through ICOs, etc. I think you're right. You know, the introduction of PayPal and Square and increasing amounts of corporate money kind of buying still a small percentage, but a percentage of their treasury they're now holding in Bitcoin as a hedge against inflation across the rest of the market. So I think you're right. I think the longer term trend is that people are increasingly bullish, and for good reason, in my opinion, around the asset class. But I still think there's a long way to go from a regulatory point of view, both at a financial and security level, and then within this industry, obviously from a gambling perspective as well. I don't know, Max, have you got any views on that yourself, or has regulation impacted you as a business?
Yeah, so I didn't expect us to start speaking about regulation, but yeah, basically, I mean, I know that even the European Parliament in Brussels is preparing the regulation, and I'm glad to be in a part of the working group who consults the various regulators. I think that regulation is kind of like a very logical step for the governments, right, who cannot control cryptocurrency. And if you cannot stop it, you cannot control, you just try to regulate it in order at least to protect your citizens, right, from what is happening, and also give the opportunity to the business to work in the controlled environment, right, and have some certain rules how to run this business. I believe there will always be the pirates of the industry who don't care about any regulations and so on. But over the years, I would say it's probably in the last 2 years, it's becoming almost impossible to open bank accounts for businesses without a license. So basically, this is how the world's governments isolating unlicensed crypto businesses from the financial infrastructure. Right. So when you run crypto business without a license, you will not be able to sell cryptocurrency to people or to buy cryptocurrency from people, because you have no way of sending them money. Right. So this is how it works. I think it's kind of like a logical step. Of course, we all understand that it makes it harder to run business. But in the end, these are healthy challenges which exist in the world already for a few years. For many years, and it has proven to be a way to go, right? I mean, we also want to do business in the cryptocurrency space, but we also understand that we cannot just change the world in 1 week, right? We understand that there would be an evolution flow, right? Right now, the world has its own rules, right? So we have to play these rules and then see how these rules evolve. Maybe crypto will become something bigger than just an industry of a few trillion to be regulated.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, it's still a very young technology and industry, and it's finding its feet, and in large part, it's finding its feet within the regulated world. How does that work? Because it works in ways that traditional technology doesn't work. So yeah, there's some way to go, but I think it's positive. I think regulators are beginning to embrace it with open arms and seeing the potential of the technology. So I think that's one certainly to watch. Maybe just bringing it back a little bit to the audiences that we believe are using crypto, because I think that'd be interesting to the audience of this session. Who are they? Where are they? How much are they spending? Are there particular gambling sectors that they're more prevalent? Boris, any thoughts on that?
Sure. So like I said previously, we see the number of the users increasing, and the difference between their ages, gender, or their status is also changing, and especially the countries where the adoption is going up. So like I said previously, the market was totally different. Now we see more and more people coming from Africa. Now we see more people coming from Asian market. And I think it's also related to this political economical situation and the regulatory framework over there. The interesting thing is there are still some countries who don't pursue the crypto as a monetary value. and it gives really big holes for many countries. For example, let's take the Turkey. The Turkey says that the crypto is not the monetary value, so the people are using this, and the government is not charging them, they're not taxing it. So for example, in Turkey, now we see the increase of the crypto adoption. There are more and more crypto startups, and the same situation happened in Chile, Costa Rica, Nigeria, South Africa. Those countries are really popping up. And I think the more investments will flow over there, the more startups and crypto-oriented ideas will pop up. In terms of the split of the age, so previously we saw that mostly the age was a younger age, or those who have the money to invest. Now we see that this gap is really changing, and I think Max will add more details in terms of that. But in our case, we see that now we don't have the limited age between 21 or 25. Now we see the average amount is increasing already on 28 age, 29. So people who are more stable are using it now. Not only the new generation who are totally okay with this, but also people who have amount of money to invest. And in terms of the gender, so previously the crypto was really associated with the male audience. And now this perception is really also changing. And I think the female driven startups is really helping also this, because now they're also going on that direction. People see, okay, the woman also using it, and we can use it and trust it too. So
can you give an example of some of these female driven initiatives or startups?
Yeah. There was even the game provider of the her name was Olga. I don't remember the surname, but I will drop it. So they are developing the crypto games, only focusing on the crypto markets. And also, for example, there are few local companies who are focusing on an exchange here in my country too. And they are driven by Georgian led women who are also pretty good on the market. So I think in terms of the statistics, the changes affected a few directions. So the age, the geographical split, and the gender split. So it's now, in our case, it's more balanced, and I think it will increase as well too in upcoming years.
Interesting, yeah, very interesting. And Max, what are you seeing in terms of kind of values, in terms of different currencies that are being used? Yeah.
I can say yes. So speaking about the user portfolio, I cannot say a lot without speculating, because we are a B2B provider, right? And we don't have any information about the players who really pay, right? So we just provide an ecosystem. So from what we see, that brands who are targeted for the younger audience, such as esports betting, right, or skin trading, when people are trading swords from the world of the Warcraft or whatever, they are not using Bitcoin so actively. They are more into Ethereum, for example, right? So we see that they use slightly different assets. That is why I always recommend using few assets, few currencies if you accept cryptocurrency, because it depends a bit on the geographic and a bit on the age group. So older ones, they mostly stick to Bitcoin only. And then we know for sure that the amount where cryptocurrency share in the casino compared to other deposit methods, they are higher in the places where there are challenges with the payment methods, right? So when we see this happening in Russia right now, so the cryptocurrency payments on the casinos are growing. In the Norway, where there are some challenges, right? We see the Latin America growing despite of the despite of the absence of the problems which I know of. So Latin America is been a growing market for a few years already. Japan, historically, the best market for crypto, like a quarter of the payments would be going through cryptocurrency. Then in general, Asia is also growing, right? I hear about, we are getting some clients who are opening brands for Oceania, right? On the Philippines, Taiwan, right? Around China. a lot of the small places. I don't even remember all the names. So we see this happening, right? I will not be speculating with the age, but right now that the age increased, probably just the people became older who use cryptocurrency, right? I also joined the industry at 25.
We're all aging. We're all aging.
Yeah, exactly.
And the value of some of the transactions that you're handling, I mean, are they higher value, would you say, than traditional casino transactions, or?
I would say I cannot really say, because we don't really have a lot of the data from our clients. I would say average would be still around $100, right? In Bitcoin it's around $100. In Ethereum, Litecoin is around $70, right? Okay. But anyways, the statistics is always broken with the high rollers, right, who will deposit $500,000. Right, and some Chinese brands, they for some reason have really small deposits, like $3. I don't know why they do this. That is just how they are. Yeah, so in Europe, I would say average would be around 100, and then you should see around the probably geo groups how they used to gamble.
Okay, interesting. And back to you, Boris. Do you see any difference in terms of a crypto player from the games that they play on your casino?
Sure, it's really interesting question, Steph. I think one of the niche difference that we found out that crypto users are really into probably fair games, where the house edge is lower, for example, compared to the slots where there is a 3% or 4% house edge. In probably fair games, there is 1%. And it seems like those crypto users are more into this stable income, and they are, I agree with the previous remark from the Marks that the gamblers and the crypto users are almost the same. They're gambling with whether it goes up or down. So especially in those probably fair games, they are playing more compared to the slots. So I think one of the things that Funfair did previously, focusing on that kind of lower house edge games, because people are now looking into, okay, I don't want to lose the money if there's a logic that the casino will win more than I. So those people are really smart, I think, compared to the traditional fiat users. And that's why they're focusing mostly on probably fair games. And on the other hand, we also see the rising of sports betting. So previously, the sports betting was not really popular in terms of the crypto. And now we see that more and more people are joining the sports betting, because the sports betting is totally different compared to the slots, right? There's two different audiences, because sports bettor probably will not play the slots. They are coming for the sports. So I think those two markets are really increasing. And I will also add the virtual sports and cyber sports, especially in the younger age audience. We integrated last year the CSGO and all FIFA and all those popular games, and we see the increasing number of the users. And of course, especially it affected during coronavirus, because the sports betting was down, and right there, the virtual sport pop up, and especially those three directions are really popular among our users.
Interesting. Okay, so it's a slightly different. I mean, this is we found this at Funfair as well. Maybe it's because it's a bit more of a millennial, a younger age group. They've got slightly different demands and slightly different requirements from who they gamble with and the types of games they gamble on. It kind of leads me into a question around. I've always kind of divided the world from a casino perspective, but it could equally be sportsbooks, etc., as your traditional online casino, so server-based internet, accepting fiat. Your crypto casino, so again, they're server-based, but they accept crypto. And then there's a bit more morphing, maybe in terms of games and staking levels, etc., or house edge. And then you have your blockchain casinos like Funfair, etc. And just for the viewers, the difference. Everyone's obviously familiar with traditional casinos. As we say, the crypto casinos accept crypto, and then the blockchain casinos are actually built on blockchains. And ostensibly, that's been on Ethereum, it's been on Tron, it's been on EOS. And I would say to date, the winner has been the crypto casinos, because you haven't got all of the friction that comes with the blockchain. You're taking one part of a blockchain, which is cryptocurrency, right, and that has specific benefits, and you're not dealing with the rest of it. So I'm just kind of interested in your views in terms of how you see that evolving, particularly with things like ETH2, as and when that comes along, and side chains and new blockchains, which will get to a point whereby kind of processing power will resolve a lot of the friction around cost and speed of transaction. Right. Because I think that's a fascinating area in terms of how that will play out moving forward.
Yeah, I think it's a good question, because I agree with you. We can divide in three parts, because traditional fiat casinos, compared to them, if we compare the crypto casinos, one of the main differentiation is that it's more safe, it's more secure, right? And because in terms of the fiat, you need, in many cases, go through the KYC or GDPR compliance, while in previous years, it was not really much affected on terms of the crypto casinos. Because this market was not really developed right now, I think the same will happen with the blockchain casinos. I think it's still too early. I think we need a couple more years, because people are moving from the fiat casinos to the crypto, and I think the next step will be the blockchain casinos. Now once we see the more people are using the cryptos, it will be much more easier to move on to the blockchain casinos. And compared to the fiat casinos, there is less fees, of course. The transaction speed is faster, so you can withdraw much faster than, for example, with your Visa or MasterCard. There is no chargebacks. There's less fraudulent activities, like we previously mentioned. And it also, so if we compare the fiat user with the crypto casino user, for me, it's totally different users, right? For me, the crypto casino users are more gamblers than the regular casinos, because they are gambling on two sides. They are betting on the crypto, and they are, once again, they are betting with this crypto with the games and so on. So are risking on two ways. And I think in a couple of years, the ideas like Funfair, the blockchain casinos, will be booming, because I think it's also a future. So previously the future was a crypto casinos. Now it's not a future anymore, because we have competitors around. So we were one of the first, now we have like 10, 20 competitors, right? And I think the blockchain will have the same phase in the upcoming couple of years.
Okay, no, interesting. And Max, your views?
So I always look at this discussion about classical casinos offering crypto balances, and blockchain casinos is just a level of disruption, right? So you have a classical casino, which is already, everybody knows how it works, right? So you just deposit money with the way you have, and you play, and then you withdraw somehow, right? Then the next one, which is organically the second biggest in the terms of cryptocurrency, are usual casinos accepting cryptocurrency as a payment method, but not offering you crypto as a balance, right? Because not all the users who want to deposit you with crypto are really know anything about crypto. Right now, the wallets are so simple that you don't really have to be an expert in cryptocurrency to use it, right? So they see cryptocurrency as a way to deposit. They deposit and gamble in euro, in USD, in GBP, whatever, right? This is already disruption level 1, right? It's very easy, just a small difference, which works. Then the second step is crypto casino, right? When you have Bitcoin balances, Ethereum balances, you can do bets in Bitcoin and so on. For some users who have cryptocurrency, this is still a bit too much, right? For beginners mostly, right? They don't understand what is balance in Bitcoin, how you recalculate it in your head, and so on. And then the level 3 is blockchain casino, right? Blockchain casino is a bit too early to become really big, right? They still have a lot of challenges, right? They still have a lot of the things to solve. So it's not trivial at all, right? And then when you try to convince some big casino owner to switch into this sort of business, right? He will probably open a second brand, right? But then a second brand is always a second brand, right? You don't really you will invest the same amount as you invest in the usual casino. You will see that the conversion is low, right? That it's not really working, the clients are not activating, and you will just drop it. That is how it usually works, right? So you should keep the disruption low and slowly increase it, right? As the Boris, right? If you already have a big brand, right, and then you open a subsidiary of the blockchain casino and offer your players to use it, then you have a higher chance of succeeding than you are just opening blockchain casino as a guy from the street, right? Without the client base, without friendly affiliates, without knowing the market, you have a very low chances of succeeding because of the challenges that you already have built in this blockchain casino.
Yeah, I think that's a well observed from both of you kind of analysis of the sector. I mean, quickly, my view on it, I think, is it is still too early for the blockchain side of it, and that is ostensibly around the scaling issues and the speed, although that does affect obviously cryptocurrency payments as well. And then there's a product market fit piece, and I think, you know, not just within gaming, I think across a lot of different blockchain areas, there's still work to be done to find what the product market fits are. And lots of work is going on, and you know, I have no doubt it will impact gambling. Just quite how, where, and when is to be determined. We're running out of time, so I'm going to do a couple of just quick fire questions about the future and some different views on the future. With the rise of stable coins, such as Tether, etc., and also the likes of Libra, which I believe has just renamed itself as Diem, the Facebook token, and I think also the inevitability of central bank digital currencies. The Chinese government is actively testing a digital yuan in a number of Chinese cities. Do you see, how do you see this playing out? Do you see this affecting the crypto side of blockchain, and how? Boris, just quick fire answer, please.
Sure. I will just say simply that I think in upcoming years, the crypto will continue the booming. Because one of the leading factors, like we mentioned previously, is simplicity. Now it's much more simple to use crypto in many ways to integrate. You can go to crypto processing and say, okay, Max, I want to integrate it with my business. And that will help you, right? You can go to the any store and buy things. Now it's much more simple. People are using more and more. And on the other hand, like I mentioned at the beginning, the governments are looking more into it, and the people are trusting more it because it became the association with the stable. Okay, the Bitcoin is stable, it's increasing and it will increase. So people are now trusting more, it's simpler, and the government are pushing regulation, which means that the price will go up, which means more and more users will use it, and which means that we will see more and more businesses upcoming in near future.
Very good, very good. Max?
Yeah, and I also will be very short. So basically, governments issuing their money based on blockchain, it means that the blockchain technology is recognized, right? Which is amazing. And in general, the main disadvantage of crypto, as many see, is that it is volatile. And I agree, for business, volatility is not the best option, right? So of course, like, there would be a movement to make it stable, right? And now we have it. Players usually don't like to pay with the stable coins for some reason, right? But the ecosystem, how companies pay each other, right? We see game providers, affiliates accepting the payments in USDT mostly, not so much in Bitcoin, right? Yeah, so we see that businesses, so they accept Bitcoin, right? Ethereum, whatever, they convert it in euro, for example, right? Because player balances are in euro, but then in the end of the month, they would be converted to USDT to pay their bills to their providers, partners, and whatever. And I would just believe that a lot of the payments abroad, like SWIFT does, I think should be replaced logically a lot with this stable cryptocurrencies, because it's much quicker, right? And if you don't have this crazy fees and problem of fluctuating in price, SWIFT just have no chance on basically offering any USP over cryptocurrency.
Interesting. Yeah, no, very interesting. I wondered whether actually getting to the broader, even consumer audience. Maybe the consumer audience at the moment is happy with that volatility, but actually to go to a mass market, maybe stability is an important point for them. Potentially, we will see. And one final question: when are we going to see the likes of PokerStars and bwin and the big operators actually accepting cryptocurrency? Do we think we're going to see that next year?
Yes,
Well,
in 21 we will approach all of them and sign them as clients. So we speak here in 1 year. We will have the PokerStars and bwin.
Let's have a bet. So let's bet that Max will have on board all those big stars, and let's meet up in 1 year and see. I think the big players will still hold a little bit, like 1 year or two, but I do believe that, let's say, in upcoming 3 or 5 years, they will be integrated definitely. Maybe they are still taking the baby steps, and they are too much focusing on security, but I think 3 to 5 years they will be on. But if Max will win, we'll see in upcoming year.
We will check in again. Yeah. Our time is up, so I'd like to just thank you again. Thank you very much, Boris. Thank you very much, Max, for spending the time with us and sharing your expertise and your knowledge. And thank you for everybody who's been listening. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. It was a
Thanks
pleasure.
a lot. Pleasure
Bye.
having you all. Ciao.
Bye.